To the Mind Basketball Podcast, also known as M.O.B Podcast, episode 64. I'm Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast. We recap, break down, and analyze players and teams from previous games from the previous day. How are you this Sunday afternoon, Ja?
Chilling.
Anyways, I'm good as well. Hope everyone's having a good day or will have a good day. It is Sunday, so rest and relax up until Monday hits tomorrow. So, like I always say about the weekends, any weekend, enjoy it while it lasts. But concerning our Saturday, it was enjoyable along with the games that came with it from last night. So let's get into it first, starting off with the only primetime game of the night, which featured the Dallas Mavericks up against the Brooklyn Nets. No Kyrie Irving, and of course KD still out with the hamstring, but no Kyrie Irving. As a result, that means that Harden needed to take a lot of the load, and in that first half, he really did. He was hot. The Mavericks really had no answer for him. He was doing it all on the offensive side of the ball. And he kept it. It was a little battle between them and the Mavericks. Also, that guy right behind me had himself a nice first half as well. Keeping it in tune, keep it within range with the Nets. And then that third quarter hit, and the Mavericks just went on a big run. There was a lot of production in the paint, production in the post, scoring inside, attacking the hole at will. A lot of great defense, tightened up defensively on the Nets, especially on Harden, who went cold in that second half. And as a result, they kind of rode that wave into that fourth quarter. The Nets tried to get back in, but the Mavericks just too much for this Nets team. And as a result, the Mavericks beat the Nets, ending their 8-game winning streak. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah. No KD, no Kyrie. The Mavs basically had an advantage, and you said something that kind of shocked me too. They played defense that we probably would never hear that in a long time. But again, also they played against the Nets
in the second half.
In the second half, but they also played against the Nets, who also don't have no kind of true defensive identity yet, or they're finding themselves. So, kind of makes sense. But and the way they took advantage, I felt like most of this team, most of the players on that Mavs team, in terms of their paint presence, everything is just bigger than the Nets. So as a result, I feel like they was able to take advantage, and you could see it. The Nets, surprisingly, again, they play defense, and yet they're a high-powered offensive team who, even though took a little bit of a downgrade, they're still really talented offensively. And you see they took advantage, so big time.
Yep. As for the Mavericks, they really like that whole run in that third quarter, and then that fourth quarter when they got up to as big as 20. I mean, this was really like everyone just doing their job. Like mentioned Luka, give a shout out to Vinny Smith. Porzingis had a good night. Josh Richardson, Jalen Brunson coming off the bench, and Tim Hardaway as well. I mean, this was a really well-rounded, balanced game from the Mavericks that you're really excited to see if you're Rick Carlisle.
Yep, exactly. And just real quick about the Nets, you see the impact of Harden, and what he could do as an individual for a team, because look at the first half, the game was close because of him. The moment the Mavericks limited him, the game went one-sided, and that just speaks to his greatness.
Yep. And like I said, the Mavericks do pick up the win, and as a result, ending the Brooklyn Nets 8-game winning streak. The Mavericks are back to 500.
Good. It seems like there's a lot of teams that's going back and forth from 500 to underneath 500. So,
yeah. All right. Like I said, that was the only primetime game of the night, and we had about 5 other games. So, any game that you like to talk about first? Anything that you noticed around the league? Anything that
I
you
would like to
want to
talk.
speak on?
Yeah, the Cavs versus Sixers. This was a good back and forth game from start to finish. Went into overtime. Um, the Cavs came out with a lot of energy, like they had something to prove. They playing against the number one team in the Eastern Conference, and they playing against a MVP candidate and two of the best players in the game right now, and one of the best elite duos. And they came out with a chip on their shoulder, with a chip on their shoulders. Colin Sexton was balling. This whole team was just getting inside the paint, just scoring at will, trying their best to create some kind of shot from the inside and then work outside. But then as the game went on and they start to go into the second quarter, you could clearly see that the Sixers started to mount there. Well, not the second quarter. I mean the third quarter. The third quarter, the Sixers started to mend their comeback. As like they were down by, I believe, I know they were down by a good amount in double digits. I believe it was like 15, and then they started to make their run big time in the third quarter. And from that point on, it was a back and forth exchange. Colin Sexton had um Colin Sexton hit a big shot to take the lead, and then Joel Embiid was able to tie it with seconds to go. And thanks to good defensive stops from the Sixers, the game went into overtime. And from that point on, it was just all Cavs from there. It's try to stay close and B tried his best to get his team to take the lead, but it was just too late, and the Cavs went in overtime.
Yep, as you mentioned, Cavs getting a big upset win against the Sixers team. Let's quick mention that Tobias Harris did not play in last night's game. So a little bit handicapped from the Sixers, but nonetheless, still an impressive win by this Cavaliers team.
Yeah.
All right. Any other game that you would like to speak on?
Spurs versus Pelicans. This was also another fun game to watch. It was back and forth. The second quarter hit, and then the Spurs just went on a huge run. And with the way that they were playing, movement, spacing, creative shots, getting to the basket, penetration, all of that mid-range area, they were just working as a flow as a team. But yet, with this Pelicans team, you're gonna always stay into it, So as a result, as the game started to come down to the second half and then straight into the fourth quarter, you start to see how the Pelicans were starting to mount their run, and then as a result, it was a back and forth exchange from that point on. And as it came down to the closing seconds, um, the Spurs were up by 4, and I believe the Pelicans were trying to get a 3. Zion passes to Lonzo. Lonzo finally shoots it, but yeah, he missed. But yeah, he misses the shot. They try to get a rebound, but they try to get the rebound, but the Spurs secure it, and they basically run it down the floor. They get fouled, go to the line. I believe they go to the line, yes, and then even though Lonzo did make a shot, it was too late. The game was already over from that point.
Are you talking about Ingram's 3?
I mean, English 3. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, Pelicans fought back. Spurs almost giving up that lead that they had. But nonetheless, good win by the Spurs team against the Pelicans, who are trying their best to get within that playing game.
Yeah.
All right. The game that I like to speak on is, of course, the Knicks up against the Indiana Pacers, renewing their rivalry, their legendary rivalry from, in the 90s. And this was a really good game. Didn't look like that at first, as Pacers really got out in front into a big lead in that first half. It was up by as many as 16 against the Knicks. The Knicks were struggling, and the Pacers, just everything was clicking for them offensively. But then the Knicks kind of got back into that game by Julius Randle, did a lot, and D Rose, who made a 3-pointer at the buzzer at halftime to give the Knicks their first lead of the night, I believe. And then that third quarter hit, and then the back and forth for shoot in that third quarter. Sabonis kind of getting to rhythm at least because he was struggling throughout the night because the Knicks really had a tight defense on him. I mean, there was around 2 or 3 guys around him every time he got the ball in the post. I mean, Tom Thibodeau did a great job managing Sabonis. I mean, he is an all-star, and he is dominant, double machine. He's a beast in the post. So to counteract that, he sent as many guys as he could around that area, and sometimes he would still get up the shot and make it.
Yeah.
So he was trying his best to work with that, and at times he could, but the Knicks did a relative good job defending him. They didn't do a good job defending Doug McDermott though, as he caught fire throughout the game, and he had 20 points, which is much needed for the Pacers. And that fourth quarter, it just came down to who can make the big shots and who can come up with the big stops.
Yep.
And
execution.
Yeah, the execution. And even though the Pacers were in the game and T.J. McConnell stepped up for them, and Sumner, Edmond Sumner, he hit some big shots for them. He came out of nowhere with that. He hit some big shots for the Pacers, and the Pacers were down by 2. Barrett had an opportunity to seal the deal. He missed both free throws, and so the Pacers had a chance to either tie or take the lead, and a great defensive play by D Rose clamping up on TJ McConnell and then forcing a turnover, and then Frank Ntilikina in his second game back. His first game, I didn't mention that, but his first game since December was against the Sacramento Kings. So this was his second game, playing good defense, got steal and hit clutch free throws in the end to seal the deal and help the Knicks beat this Indiana Pacers team in a tough win. But all right. Prediction time for tonight's set of games, and it looks to be an interesting slate. First, starting off with the primetime afternoon game, ABC 3:30, featuring the Los Angeles Clippers up against the Milwaukee Bucks, and it is expected to be that Jrue Holiday will return after missing 10 games for the Bucks. So, that in mind, who you have?
2 teams fully healthy. I got the Clippers.
2 teams fully healthy. You got the Clippers, and I got the Bucks. I feel like they hit their stride just at about the right time, as they've been playing a lot better than they were previously. Yeah. They on a current, I believe they're on a 4-game winning streak, and they're just playing better basketball. And this was the right time to do it. Now they're getting Jrue Holiday back. I feel like I think they can beat this Clippers team. Should be a really good game. Fast forwarding to the night slate. What you said?
No, go ahead. No.
Fast forwarding to the night.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything. Yeah, you.
Okay. Fast forwarding to the night slate is the Bulls up against the Raptors. Raptors. The Wizards up against the Celtics.
Wizards.
Celtics. The Knicks or the Pistons? Knicks. The Hawks or the Heat? Heat. The Grizzlies or the Rockets?
Grizzlies.
The second primetime game of the night, 8 o'clock ESPN. It is the Golden State Warriors up against the defending champions, Los Angeles Lakers.
Golden State. Actually, no, Lakers. I forgot they got shorter back. That's why.
They do have shorter back, but I got Golden State. The Suns or the Timberwolves? Suns. And lastly, the Hornets or the Kings? Hornets. All right. I think it's time to wrap things up. Any final thoughts?
No. I don't have anything.
Well, thank you, I guess.
Yeah, I thought I did, and I was just like, nah.
Oh, well. With that being said, thank you guys for watching today's pod. Make sure to tune into tomorrow's podcast. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Also, follow IG down in the description below.
And once again, I am Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this It's the Mind of Basketball podcast.